Imagine walking down a dimly lit corridor, cold air brushing against your skin, when suddenly you hear a whisper that shouldn't be there. You turn around, heart pounding, but there's nothing. This is the chilling reality of those who have dared to step inside the world's most haunted locations. Join me as we journey into the heart of darkness, exploring the chilling tales and paranormal activity that plague these haunted grounds. Get ready, because we're about to dive deep into the shadows, where fear is real, and the spirits of the dead still walk among us. Our first stop takes us to Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, home to the notorious Eastern State Penitentiary. This Gothic fortress, once a symbol of reform, now stands as a decaying monument to despair, its crumbling walls echoing with the tormented whispers of the inmates who once suffered within its confines. Built in 1829, Eastern State was designed to inspire penitence or regret in the hearts of criminals. But the isolation and brutality inflicted upon the inmates bred something far more sinister. They say the anguish and despair seeped into the very foundation of this place, leaving an indelible mark of suffering. And that suffering continues to this day, in the form of intense paranormal activity that has baffled investigators and terrified visitors for decades. In 1953, a night security guard making his rounds experienced the true terror of Eastern State. As he patrolled the empty halls, he heard it, the distinct sound of echoing footsteps coming from a long-abandoned cell block. The guard froze, his blood turning to ice. These were footsteps with no living source. He cautiously approached the cell block, his hand trembling as he reached for his flashlight. The sounds grew louder, closer. He could almost feel a presence, cold and menacing, just beyond the bars. And then, silence. The footsteps stopped abruptly. The air grew heavy, the temperature plummeting as an unnatural chill swept through the corridor. And then, he saw it. A shadowy figure, barely visible in the darkness, moved swiftly past the iron bars at the end of the hall. The guard was paralyzed with fear, his heart pounding in his chest. He watched in disbelief as the figure vanished into thin air, leaving behind nothing but the lingering sense of dread, and the bone-chilling certainty that he had witnessed something truly unexplainable. Our next destination takes us to the breathtaking Rocky Mountains of Colorado, to a grand hotel that has inspired both awe and terror in equal measure, the Stanley Hotel. This sprawling resort, with its breathtaking views and opulent decor, seems like an unlikely place for paranormal activity, but beneath the surface of luxury and grandeur lies a dark undercurrent of otherworldly energy. Built in 1909 by F.O. Stanley, a wealthy inventor and automobile magnate, the Stanley Hotel quickly became a popular destination for the elite, drawn to its elegance and stunning natural surroundings. But tragedy struck the Stanley family, leaving an imprint of sorrow that seems to linger to this day. Guests have reported a wide range of unsettling experiences within the hotel's hallowed halls. Disembodied voices whisper through the corridors, seemingly whispering secrets from beyond the grave. Furniture moves mysteriously on its own, as if manipulated by unseen hands. And then, there are the children. Guests have reported hearing the unmistakable sound of children laughing and playing in the dead of night, their phantom giggles echoing through the empty hallways. Some believe these to be the spirits of children who once roamed the halls of the Stanley, their innocent laughter now a chilling reminder of lives cut short. But perhaps the most well-known resident of the Stanley Hotel is its original owner, F.O. Stanley himself. His ghostly presence is said to be felt throughout the hotel, particularly in the grand ballroom, where he once hosted lavish parties. Guests have reported seeing his apparition standing at the foot of their beds, a tall, imposing figure with a stern expression and piercing blue eyes. Others have claimed to feel his presence in the hotel's billiards room, where he was known to enjoy a game or two in life. One chilling account tells of a young couple staying in room 217, the same room where Stephen King himself stayed in 1974. It was the eerie energy of this room and the strange occurrences within the hotel that inspired King to write his iconic horror novel, The Shining. Our journey into the heart of darkness now takes us to the quiet suburbs of Long Island, New York, to a house forever etched in the annals of paranormal history, 112 Ocean Avenue, the infamous Amityville Horror House. This seemingly ordinary suburban home became a symbol of unimaginable terror in 1974, when the Lutz family, new occupants of the house, fled in terror after just 28 days, driven out by a series of terrifying and unexplained events that shook them to their core. But the horrors that unfolded at 112 Ocean Avenue did not begin with the Lutz family. Just a year earlier, the house bore witness to a horrific mass murder, when Ronald DeFeo Jr. shot and killed 6 members of his own family within its walls. The murders sent shockwaves through the community, leaving an indelible stain of violence and despair on the property. The Lutz family, unaware of the house's dark history, moved into 112 Ocean Avenue, hoping for a fresh start. But they soon realized that they were not alone. From the moment they crossed the threshold, they were met with a barrage of paranormal activity that escalated with each passing day, pushing them to the brink of madness. Unexplained odors like the stench of decaying flesh permeated the air, despite their best efforts to air out the house. Strange viscous ooze seeped from the walls, a substance that defied explanation. Flies swarmed the house in droves, even in the dead of winter. And then there were the voices. Disembodied whispers, growls, and guttural snarls that seemed to emanate from the very walls themselves. The Lutz children, especially susceptible to the supernatural energies at play, claimed to see demonic figures lurking in the shadows. They spoke of an unseen entity, a malevolent presence that tormented them relentlessly. One of the children, a young girl named Missy, even befriended an imaginary playmate, a demonic pig with glowing red eyes that only she could see. As the paranormal activity intensified, so too did the impact on the Lutz family. Our exploration of the world's most haunted places now takes us to the desolate island of Hashima, located off the coast of Nagasaki, Japan. Once a bustling coal mining community, Hashima Island, also known as Gunkanjima or Battleship Island, now stands as a haunting reminder of Japan's industrial past and the human cost of progress. Established in 1887 by the Mitsubishi Corporation, Hashima Island quickly became a symbol of Japan's rapid industrialization. The island, a mere speck in the vast Pacific Ocean, was transformed into a densely populated concrete jungle, its towering apartment blocks housing thousands of workers and their families. For over 5 decades, Hashima Island thrived, its coal mines fueling Japan's economic engine. But as with all things, the island's prosperity was fleeting. In 1974, as the world shifted away from coal, the mines of Hashima fell silent. The once bustling island was abandoned virtually overnight, its inhabitants forced to leave their homes and livelihoods behind. Today, Hashima Island stands as a ghostly shell of its former self, a crumbling testament to the ephemeral nature of human endeavors. The concrete structures once teeming with life now stand empty and decaying, their windows like vacant eyes staring out at the sea. Visitors to Hashima Island have reported a range of unsettling experiences, from disembodied voices and footsteps echoing through the empty corridors, to full-bodied apparitions appearing in the windows of abandoned apartments. Some have even claimed to feel an oppressive presence following them as they explore the island, as if they are being watched by unseen eyes. Our final destination takes us to the shadowy lagoons of Venice, Italy, to an island shrouded in darkness and steeped in a history so gruesome, so unsettling, that it has earned the chilling moniker, the Island of Death. This is Poveglia Island, a place where the weight of countless tragedies hangs heavy in the air, and where the tormented souls of the dead are said to outnumber the living. For centuries, Poveglia Island has served as a dumping ground for the unwanted, a place of exile and despair. In the 14th century, as the Black Death ravaged Europe, Venice, like many other cities, was overwhelmed by the sheer number of dead. Desperate to contain the plague, Venetian authorities made the chilling decision to transform Poveglia Island into a quarantine zone, a last resort for the sick and dying. Shiploads of plague victims, many still clinging to life, were transported to Poveglia and abandoned to their fate. The island became a living nightmare, its soil stained with the blood and vomit of the dying, its air thick with the stench of decay and the groans of the afflicted. It's estimated that over 160,000 souls perished on Poveglia during the Black Death, their bodies burned in mass graves or left to rot in the open air. But the horrors of Poveglia Island did not end with the Black Death. In the 18th century, as the plague once again tightened its grip on Europe, Poveglia was once again transformed into a quarantine zone, its shores once again bearing witness to unimaginable suffering and death. The island's gruesome history continued into the 20th century when, in 1922, a mental hospital was constructed on its haunted grounds. The hospital, rumored to be poorly run and overcrowded, quickly gained a sinister reputation for mistreatment and abuse. Patients reported hearing voices, seeing apparitions, and experiencing physical attacks by unseen entities. Some whispered that the doctors themselves were conducting cruel experiments on the patients, using their vulnerable minds as subjects in their twisted research. One doctor, driven mad by the island's dark energy, is said to have thrown himself from the bell tower, his screams echoing across the lagoon. The mental hospital was eventually shut down in the 1960s, but the stories of horror persisted. From the decaying cells of Eastern State Penitentiary to the plague-ridden shores of Poveglia Island, we've explored some of the most haunted places on Earth, delving into the chilling stories and paranormal phenomena that continue to baffle and terrify. But these are just a few of the countless locations around the globe where the veil between our world and the spirit realm wears thin, where the echoes of past tragedies linger, and where the unexplained becomes terrifyingly real. Stay tuned, because what you're about to discover may make you think twice before exploring the unknown.